Imagine you're a police officer. You've been on the job for 3 years, and most of your work involves speeding violations. It's 2 a.m., just a normal checkpoint, and a car drives by way over the speed limit. You've done this stop more than 500 times before. You're bored, barely paying attention, mostly thinking about what you're going to eat after your shift ends. You walk up and knock on the driver's window. A man in his 30s rolls it down. He looks nervous, sweating, both hands shaking on the steering wheel. You ask for his license, but instead of looking at you, he keeps glancing at the passenger seat beside him. He refuses to make eye contact, and something feels seriously off. There's an open bag on the seat, and the whole situation just doesn't feel right. You're not scared, but you're alert now, watching every movement carefully, your hand resting close to your weapon. Then suddenly, his hand moves toward his waist, and you move too, but he's faster than you. This is based on the real story of an American police officer who survived a gunshot to the head and later described what it felt like. Research backs up a lot of what he said too. A 9mm bullet weighs around 7.5 grams and can travel at speeds close to 820 miles per hour, faster than the speed of sound. That means the bullet reaches you before you even hear the gunshot. When it hits the skull, the bone doesn't just crack, it fractures like a spider web. Pieces of the skull can break apart into tiny fragments that are driven into the brain like shrapnel. And here's the terrifying part. A bullet doesn't just leave a hole. It creates something called a cavity effect, where the brain violently expands and compresses inside the skull from the force of the times its normal size before collapsing back again. So you might ask, where's the real danger? The problem is that your brain is basically like jelly. Around 73% of it is water. So when a bullet enters, it destroys everything in its path. Nerves, blood vessels, tissue. Nothing survives the impact. And the location matters too. If the bullet hits the brainstem, that's basically game over. Breathing, heartbeat, consciousness, all of it is controlled there. But in your case, you got lucky. The bullet entered just above your left eye, passed through the frontal lobe, and exited out the back, missing the brainstem by about 5 centimeters. That's why you didn't die instantly. Up to this moment, you weren't dead yet. You had just been given a terrifying preview of what was about to happen to you next, like a golf ball tearing through both sides. From 1 to 100 milliseconds, your legs stop working, completely. You collapse instantly. Blood is pouring from both the front and back of your head, but your heart is still beating. From 1 to 5 seconds. This is where it becomes terrifying. You're still partially conscious. Your eyes are open, but your vision is distorted. Colors blur together. Every sound around you feels distant and muffled, like you're underwater. You try to move, try to stand up, but your body no longer listens. The connection between I want to move and actually moving has been severed. Even breathing feels wrong now. Sharp, broken gasps as your body struggles to understand what just happened. And then you gasp again and again. But that's not really breathing anymore. Those are just the brain's final attempts to keep the body alive. The man who shot you is already gone. You're alone now, lying on a dark highway at 2 a.m. Your patrol car lights still flashing in the distance. From 5 to 15 seconds, the brain slowly starts to die. Thousands of cells collapse every second. Your whole body shakes and twitches uncontrollably. Random signals firing through a nervous system that's shutting down. From 15 to 25 seconds, the heart begins to fail. There's not enough oxygen left. One final breath, and then nothing. The heart stops. Total time, around 23 seconds. And the scariest part? Just moments earlier, everything felt completely normal. You weren't even thinking about danger. until the criminal suddenly pulled out a gun. The moment he pulled the trigger, your brain sent out a final warning, like an alarm screaming, "Move, now!" But before you could even react, the shot was already fired. Then comes the flash. And after that, everything starts falling apart. It's not really pain, it's not even fear. It's confusion, like a computer freezing and glitching out, unable to process what's happening. You're trying to think, but nothing connects, like trying to remember a dream right after waking up. You can feel it slipping away from you second by second. And people who survived gunshots to the head describe the same thing. Confusion first, then fading out. Not like sleep. There's no smooth transition. You're here one moment, and then suddenly, you're not. Now, a quick comparison between different weapons. A 9mm pistol. If the bullet misses the brainstem and medical help arrives fast, has a survival rate of around 15 to 20%, a .45. ACP round is slower, but much heavier. The damage is usually more severe, which drops the survival rate to around 10%. A rifle like an AR-15 is even worse. The bullet travels nearly 3 times faster, and it doesn't just punch a hole through tissue. It tears and destroys everything around its path. Survival rates from direct headshots are extremely low. A shotgun at close range, there's almost no chance. And recent studies in the US show that dozens of American police officers die every year during traffic stops and roadside encounters involving firearms. The real problem is this: there's no realistic way to instantly recognize who's dangerous. The person who shoots you looks exactly like the 50 other drivers you already stopped earlier that day. And in the end, there's no big lesson. No, you should have done this differently. You followed procedure. You did your job, and you still never saw it coming. You were careful, and it still happened. So, the conclusion to all of this: a gunshot to the head is fast, chaotic, and far less rare than most people think. The good news is, you probably don't suffer for long. The bad news is, there's no goodbye, no final speech, no dramatic last words, just a sudden mental blackout, confusion, and then nothing. And if someone ever asks what it feels like, tell them this: it's exactly like an old Windows computer trying to install an update. Freezing at 99%, completely stuck, unable to process anything anymore. I'll be posting more videos like this soon. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments below. Peace.